Breaking news. Prince Harry's US visa court case has now officially been terminated. I am joined by my very good friend, DC lawyer John Witherspoon. He's going to explain what all this means. Hey up everyone, it's me, Stef, the Alter Nerd, your nerdy alternative, and welcome to the Dose of the Daily Nerd, where I break down the royal news and gossip of the day that's pretty much caught me eye. And oh my goodness, yes, let's jump into this with my very good friend, DC lawyer John Witherspoon. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing, mate?
I'm good, Steph. How are you?
I'm not doing too bad, but as soon as I saw this, I was like, okay, I sent it to you and I was like, what does this mean? And you were like, oh, I've got some opinions and theories. And I'm like, should we do a video on this? And you were like, hell yeah. So let's get cracking because, yes, officially the US visa court case between the Heritage Foundation and the US government has now been terminated. For those that don't know, let me just quickly recap off of the back of Hazard releasing his book Spare, where in it he detailed his past illicit substance use. The Heritage Foundation then launched a lawsuit to the US government wanting to have a copy of his US visa application to see if he actually lied on it or not. And now where we're at is Judge Carl J. Nichols has now terminated the case. And so here we have the official legal documentation. Thanks for John for supplying this. And we can see here the date that the lawsuit was filed was the 1st of January 2023. The date terminated the 9th of September 2024. Now, there's two things that have been filed on this docket here. So a sealed ex parte memorandum opinion and a sealed ex parte order. And so what does this actually all mean, first and foremost?
Well, Steph, thanks for having me on. Good to be with you. Two things happened yesterday in this particular case, and I want to make it clear right off the bat. I know some people are going to be disappointed and upset and so forth, but I think it's worth going through this regardless of what people think of what's happened here. The judge did two things yesterday, as you indicated. Number 46 there, he issued a sealed ex parte order, which is the same action that he took 3 or 4 weeks ago last month when he issued an additional sealed ex parte order. The other thing that he did, line number 47, was that he issued a sealed ex parte memorandum opinion. That basically means that he made a decision in the case. The fact that it is a memorandum opinion means that it is relatively short. It's probably less than 10 pages. And what he would do in a memorandum opinion is that he would basically recite the facts of the case. He would say, here's the applicable law, here's what I think about the law, and here is my conclusion and what I would like to happen. And then he also, as I said, issued this sealed ex parte order of docket entry number 46. So what does this all mean? We don't know. That's the short and sweet answer. It does not mean that there's some sort of conspiracy. It does not mean that there's some sort of cover-up. It just means that the judge felt like there is some reason to protect or to keep confidential the contents of this order from yesterday, and also to keep confidential the contents of this opinion. By the way, just as an additional comment, a memorandum opinion in most cases, does not become part of case law. It does not become something that can be cited in the future in another similar case. It just is specific to this case, and it basically says, hey, I've decided what needs to happen here, and we're just going to close out this particular matter and go forward from here. So then the question becomes, will we ever know what is in this opinion? The answer to that is we do not know. He might have asked for something to happen, and then there would be, a potential unsealing of this opinion, and this order and some of the other orders that he's issued, that could happen a week from now, it could happen 6 months from now, it could happen a year from now, or it might never happen. And as I said before, and I want to make very clear, this is totally legitimate. This is totally within the judge's purview to do this. It's just that he felt that there was a compelling reason, and believe me, I'm sure he gave a lot of thought to it. He believes there's a compelling reason to seal the opinion and to seal this order and the other orders and so forth. So what can we kind of discern from this? Well, the first thing is there's always a possibility of an appeal. Depending on who appeals, if Homeland Security pops up and they say, we want to appeal this decision to the Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia, which is the next highest court above the court where Judge Nichols sits. If Homeland Security pops up and files an appeal, well, then we'll know that this decision yesterday and this order yesterday were not favorable to the Homeland Security side of the case. They would have been in favor of the Heritage Foundation side of the case. The other thing that might happen is that Heritage Foundation might actually say something about this, depending on what information has been shared with them. Niall Gardner at Heritage Foundation obviously has been very instrumental in keeping track of this case. And if there's a press release that comes out, we'll just have to keep an eye out on that for the next couple of days. I want to actually go a little bit into detail as well about what this case was about, in case people are just sort of getting up to speed on this. This is not a case that determines whether Prince Harry will or will not get kicked out of the United States, at least not yet. This was a Freedom of Information Act request filed by Heritage Foundation, which is a Washington, D.C. based think tank, a relatively conservative leaning think tank. They wanted to know whether Prince Harry was honest on his application and whether or not he was given some special privileges or dispensation by the United States government, specifically the Department of Homeland Security and the State Department, when he came into the country. And they feel that that is a compelling issue, and they filed this lawsuit to try to get Prince Harry's visa application materials released. So it's not a question of whether he's going to be kicked out of the country or whatever. The sort of the collateral interest that they had in this was probably shaking Prince Harry's tree, so to speak, on this. I don't think it's any secret that Prince Harry has some, I think, very unfortunate views of the United States Constitution. He's a guest in the United States of America. He has made some very, very unflattering remarks about our Constitution, our form of government, and so forth, in terms of calling the First Amendment bonkers. There's some larger issues that I think are associated with that, dealing with his opinion and Meghan Markle's opinion about whether or not we should have freedom of speech, the extent to which freedom of speech can be stretched or can be contracted, the extent to which government should be able to control what people say. I know that's a big issue right now with the Twitter/X case down in Brazil. If you haven't been up to speed on that, just do some Googling and you'll find it. It's also an issue right now in the UK and in Scotland in particular, where people are saying, we are not going to allow people to make certain types of comments that government or other people feels is offensive. So those types of sentiments clearly are at odds with what the Heritage Foundation feels are appropriate, again, based on our Constitution. And so they have gone after him a little bit. If I were Prince Harry, I would not be terribly comfortable with this state of affairs. And in fact, interestingly enough, it was shortly after the judge's sealed ex parte order last month in August, when all of a sudden these stories started coming out about Prince Harry wants to think about coming back to the UK. What can he do to get back in the good graces of Prince William and King Charles. And maybe we can work something out. Maybe we can make peace. Well, it's entirely conceivable that all of that conversation started as a result of something that Judge Nichols has done that has kind of spooked him and that has caused him to think to himself, uh-oh, I may not be long for the world in terms of my stay in the United States. When I say not long for the world, I mean my stay in the United States might not be long for the world. So overall, an interesting state of affairs. The other thing that I'll say, again, as a collateral piece of impact from this case, is that it has drawn attention to the fact that Prince Harry is not the most popular person. He may be here on a visa which is extremely privileged, and people have talked about him possibly being on a head of state A1 visa, since he is fifth in line to the British throne. And again, if he can be embarrassed, if he can be made to keep his tail between his legs a little bit and be a little bit more humble, a little less outspoken, then I think there's certainly some benefit to that. And I'm sure Heritage Foundation thinks that there's some benefit to that as well. So in all, again, as I said, the next steps are to watch for a potential appeal. Likely, if it occurs, it'll likely be from Homeland Security. Also to keep an eye out for anything that Niall Gardner or anybody else on the Heritage Foundation may have to say about it. The other thing I'll say as well is, as everybody knows, there's a presidential election going on right now in the United States, or we're in the run-up to a presidential election. Former President Trump has indicated very clearly that he is not a fan of Prince Harry, in large part because of what he seems to have done and things that he said in the dying days of his grandparents' lives. And President Trump has said that he has a big issue with that. Regardless of what you think about Donald Trump, he has made that statement and put a stake in the ground. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. And the jury may still be out on this. We'll look for an appeal. We'll look for some public comments by one side or the other, and we'll see where it leads. Again, I realize that this is disappointing in some ways for some people. The fact that it's terminated, I want to make sure people understand that language as well. It's only terminated because the judge issued an opinion. We don't know what the opinion is yet, but the judge did not come down and say, we're not going to talk about this anymore. We're going to sweep it under the rug. That's not what is happening.
Okay, so this is the thing, right? A lot of people may look to this and think, oh my goodness, has got away with it yet again. The US application is going to be private. We're never going to know this, that, and the other, right? Well, firstly, if that is the case, the Heritage Foundation can appeal, from my understanding with what John said. But secondly, we don't actually have to automatically go to that conclusion. I mean, this is a situation where the case is terminated. We know that the judge has an opinion, but we don't know what that opinion is. It could be that, yes, he's going to keep it sealed and he's not going to give it to the Heritage Foundation. However, there's an equal chance that he agrees with the Heritage Foundation and he will actually release the US visa application to them. Now that we know that this case has been terminated, how long until we actually get to publicly know what the judge's opinion and ruling is on this?
It's a good question. As I mentioned, it could be this week, at the end of the week. It could be in 6 months. It could be in a year. It could be never. You just don't know. Just don't know.
Why could it be never?
I guarantee you this, though. Judge Nichols did not seal this for no apparent reason. He sealed this because he had a sound reason to do this. I guarantee you that if there's any indication, especially on the side of Heritage Foundation, that it was not sealed for the correct reasons, they will appeal it. No doubt about it.
Well,
and also, if they did not like what he had to say in the opinion, they will also appeal it. I'm very confident of that. So
Mm.
we'll just have to wait and see. Again, that's not the answer I know a lot of people wanted. A lot of people are very anxious to be able to throw a stone or two at Prince Harry. I totally understand that, but it's not a case that he has gotten off the hook on this. There's been a lot of publicity on this. It's been in the limelight. It's a very high profile issue, and he's going to have to deal with it one way or another.
Mm. Well, on that bombshell, let's get to some better news because yesterday Princess Catherine had announced that she has completed a chemotherapy treatment. She and Prince William released a very beautiful video with that announcement and that she's now cancer free. I'm so glad that's happened and so happy for her and the family. My attention now turns to King Charles, and fingers crossed we get similar news from him soon with his own fight against cancer. But I knew, John, that you wanted to say a few things about this as well. So go ahead, mate.
Thanks, Steph. Well, I did just want to make a comment. I know we didn't start this video out expecting to go in this direction, but that video yesterday was so profound, and I'm sure everybody agrees with that. It was so beautifully done. The cinematography, the setting, the fact that the three kids were there, the very obvious level of affection between all five of them, and the grandparents that were in the video as well. Really so touching, and I just think it's very worth calling that out. One thing nobody has talked about, which I picked up on as an American, and it may not be such a big deal in Europe, but as an American, a woman who drives a four-wheel drive vehicle like a Land Rover, Princess Catherine was driving yesterday, and on top of that, she's driving a manual transmission. You can see in the video that they show her shifting gears. That is like gold in the United States. And I guarantee you, the audience can weigh in the comments. Prince William really found himself a winner for all the obvious reasons, but you get a woman who drives a four-wheel drive truck with a manual transmission. She's a keeper. And I say that jokingly, but it just struck me. I was like, okay, if we didn't think she was cool up to this point, now she's really cool. And the other thing that I'll say is I do agree that the timing of the release of the video from Netflix about Prince Harry's polo show, if it was deliberate, very, very unfortunate. If it was accidental, still very unfortunate. There should be people keeping an eye out. No reason at all to step on Princess Catherine's toes on such an important announcement as she made yesterday. I just thought it was very, very unfortunate. In fact, I've got a pile of all of my polo shirts are out right on the sidewalk right now. I'm ready to take a match to them because I've been so turned off by polo. I'm kidding, of course, but the point being, it was so distasteful. And again, back to bring it all full circle, so many reasons why Prince Harry is not in a good place right now in terms of his personal life. I think in terms of his public image, it just is one train wreck and one mess after another. I know the audience will agree with that. It's just very, very unfortunate. I wish it wasn't that way, but it is what it is. And as I said, on a positive note, I'm so moved by what Princess Catherine put in that video yesterday. Just a really, really wonderful, heartwarming story. And I've watched it several times. It still really resonates with me.
Well, going round full circle, guys. With that being said, yes, it is official. The US visa court case between the Heritage Foundation and the US government has now been terminated. Judge Carl J. Nichols has got an opinion. It has been submitted. We don't know what it is at this stage. So, guys, calm your tits, because it might not be that he won't release it. It may be that he might. He might actually release it. We don't know what the opinion is, so the chances are equal. He may block its release or he may release it. As soon as we know, we will jump back on and report it for you guys. I want to thank again John for joining me on this breaking news video. I really appreciate your face. Thank you so much. If you don't know, guys, he does have an Instagram at WitherspoonDC, the only place where you're able to, contact him and ask him questions. Guys, he may not be able to answer all of your questions or get to you all, but it is a place where you are able to follow him and contact him. Keep it nice, keep it civil, keep it Gucci, and all that malarkey. With that being said, if you appreciated this video and you want more, and of course there is gonna be more, we are keeping on top of all of Haz's cases and giving you the breaking and exclusive news. Make sure you subscribe to join our alternate tribe, like, share, comment down below your opinion, conspiracy theories, whatevers, and help us get to 1 million so we can also get that gold play button and hopefully cause a Meghan Markle meltdown on Instagram. With that being said, thank you so much for tuning into this video. Appreciate all your faces. And until the next time, you guys, laters.